Welcome back, Astro listeners, to Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Media Monk, and as usual, I'm joined by our shining star of the Zodiac, Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hello, Media Monk.
And most of us remember that Star Lady is indeed Kim Marie, the managing director for our network. EAN continues to provide the finest EA course materials to certify new astrologers. And yet we attract many, many more people just looking for that next level of soul growth in their life through studying evolutionary astrology. We have a lot going on the website, a couple new items to talk about, but you can always peek at www.evolutionaryastrology.net or call anytime at 1-605-348-5111. Ask for Media Monk on some guidance for your own learning path with astrology. I guess at the outset here, Starlight, I just kind of wanted to let everybody know that we have finally created that product for your Mastering Phases and Aspects workshop you did last summer. And online with the Manitoba Astrological Society, it turned out to be, I think, one of your best efforts yet on that cycle of phases and aspects. Big part of kind of the mortar on building a good house with astrology, because it sure adds a depth to the chart that you can't get in a lot of other astrology disciplines. But you want to just kind of preface that a little bit for anybody interested, might be wanting to get a little more information. We do have it on sale right now for $119. It's nearly 10 hours of information, I think. So real good value on expanding your knowledge of the phases and aspects. Go ahead, Star Lady.
Okay, Media Monk, thank you.
Put you on the spot, I guess. That was an odd transition. There you go.
It's okay. Well, one of the things I loved about evolutionary astrology when I first discovered it was from the very beginning, Jeffrey Wolf Green's teachings dealt with the cycle of phases and aspects from 0 to 360. So in other words, a crescent square, a first quarter square, a disseminating square, and a last quarter square. There's 4 squares. There's 2 oppositions. And so when we typically compare the faster moving planet to the slower moving planet from 0 to 360, it provides a wealth of knowledge and depth into putting phases and aspects together between planets. It helps take away the confusion. So I was blessed to find this at the beginning of my astrological studies, and it just clicked for me, and it's an area that I've always loved, and I love teaching it. And so it's like every time I have a group of astrologers or an organization ask me to teach the cycle of phases and aspects, my Pluto Virgo here tooting my horn, I feel like I've just gotten better and better and better at providing a deeply meaningful perspective and logical process on how to work through the 8 phases and all of the different aspects. So I love teaching it, and I feel this turned out to be a good product. We did it on Zoom, COVID last year, and so we go through most of the aspects. We use a variety of different charts, and we use a variety of planetary pairs so that the examples are quite varied. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. So you can get that. We have a learning path page, and that's got several products on it, and the Mastering Phases of Aspects. You can add it to your cart right there and check out. You'll see the sale price, and of course that'll get you the content archived on your account page at EAN for perpetuity. You go back to the account page, you'll see the banner right there with the hyperlink to all the videos. So it's very easy for you to study the Mastering Phases and Aspects workshop anywhere in the world, 365, 24/7 with internet connection. So that's how we're kind of creating a lot of our product offerings nowadays, just like our EA course. And I guess at this point when you go to that Learning Paths page, if you're more of a novice and you're not really been a practicing astrologer or coming from another discipline or perhaps an EA associate even, there's a new kind of, we call it the expanded EA intro, which again is our more basic astrology material. So take a look at that workshop too. Any questions, just contact MediaMonk at evolutionaryastrology.net or give us a call. And with that, well, I'll segue right into today's Full Moon in Virgo podcast.
Thank you, MediaMonk. Actually, the planetary aspects are light for the next 2 weeks, from the full moon of Virgo to the new moon of Pisces. So I have a couple of areas that I'm going to speak more to the Saturn-Uranus squares. But first of all, I just want to point out to everybody that as Mercury went stationary direct a week ago from this recording right on the new moon day, February 27th, or full moon day, Mercury went direct February 20th at 11.5 degrees Aquarius. What I want to point out is that we have a 2-month time period of no planetary retrogrades, of all the planets moving full speed ahead. So we're going to go through all of March and all of April with, again, all the planets direct and moving forward. April 27th, Pluto will turn stationary retrograde for its annual 5-month review, right about 27 degrees, just shy of 27 degrees, April 27th. So that'll then shift into several planetary retrogrades over the course of the summer and the fall. Some years we will barely have a few days or a week of the planets moving forward together, all direct. And it's just turned out over the last few decades that this time period tends to come more or less the beginning of the calendar year. Jupiter, Saturn, Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they all have annual retrograde cycles varying between 4 to 5 months. And so that grouping of outer planets pretty much keep us throwing off conditioning factors with their various archetypes throughout most of the year. And so to have a time period of 2 months where all the planets are moving direct and forward through the zodiac, that's not really a norm. So, hey, if you have, decisions to make, if you have new beginnings that you want to spring forward with, now's the time. Now is the time. Any of you coming off of this last Mercury retrograde, I've been saying to friends and family members that Mercury retrograde in 2021 is going to be very, very active because the 3 retrogrades are going to be in air signs. We just had one in Aquarius, the next one will be in Gemini, and then we'll finish up 21 with Mercury retrograde in Libra. Mercury's going to be in air signs almost 7 months of 21. So it stirs up communications, positive and negative. It stirs up activities. And, sometimes am I coming or going when we have a Mercury retrograde? Well, Mercury's direct now, and it's moving through Aquarius. It'll finish and move out of post-shadow March 13th. But that Mercury retrograde energy is calming down, and it's allowing us to have that Aquarian detachment and objectivity to know how we want to move forward with our life. So again, one more time, February 20th to April 27th, all the planets are direct and moving forward. Make your choices, your decisions, initiate your actions, go forward with your world however you want to. This full moon of Virgo is happening February 27th, Saturday, early in the middle of the night. We're recording this Saturday morning on the 27th. Beautiful full moon last night, and we're past our cold streak. So Media Monk and I are looking forward to having a full moon fire pit soon. It's one of our joys, I guess I would say, as we watch the seasons of the full moons throughout the whole year. This full moon is going to take place just shy of 9 degrees, Sun in Pisces, Moon in Virgo. I want to repeat the EA mantra that I created years ago for each of the 12 signs. The mantra for Pisces: I am in wholeness with my reality. I am in wholeness, WHOLE, Pisces, with my reality, Virgo. So this is the full moon where we have to balance our feet on the ground and our head in the clouds. This is the full moon that asks us once every year to get in touch with what is real in our world. As Sun transiting through that last archetype of the zodiac, Pisces, it can really be a surrender time period, especially for many of us in the Northern Hemisphere with some of our coldest temperatures. And we cocoon, we veg out on Netflix. We, want to just have our Piscean escapisms. And so this full moon comes along and says, okay, that's good. However, how well are you in touch with the reality of your world? How well are you moving forward with, Virgo, diet, exercise, and rest? Many of us talked about what they call it, the COVID-20 or something like that, being stuck at home and, the weight that came on. And now here we are with the winter season in the Northern Hemisphere where this can also happen. How well are you taking care of your health, Virgo? Paying attention to what I classically call diet, exercise, and rest. The full moon can bring aha moments around all of that and help you moving forward with honoring this temple that your soul resides in for a period of time. I haven't spoken about it yet, but it's now been 3 months since my father transitioned, and still miss him. And I try not to get emotional here. My mother is almost 2 years since her open heart surgery with a triple bypass. I have spent a lot of time in the last 2 weeks doctoring with my mother. We used to be a threesome to the doctors with Mom and Dad, and now we're just a twosome, Mom and I. Well, my mom had stenosis, blockage in her right carotid artery in her neck. And so my mom just had a stent put in. So I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks taking my mom to, 6 hours of IV fluids to have a CAT scan to see the dye, to see if she qualifies for a stent or does she need to have neck surgery, blah, blah. We came through the stent in flying colors. Thank you to my AIM program of energetic balancing. My mom came through in flying colors. It didn't quite open up the stenosis or blockage as much as we thought. But we will have catch up with the surgeon at another test in a month. They all said she did great at 82 years old. So it's put me through a lot of emotional stuff, Sun and Pisces, working through all of this. And these planets in Aquarius, Mercury sandwiched right in between Jupiter, new phase Saturn, and Aquarius, objectifying, being able to detach, look at things as broadly as I can to understand them. And I, wouldn't be facing my own Virgo reality if I wasn't saying that, as the oldest of three girls in her early 60s, that it's hitting home for me. And hitting home for me to really pay attention to that diet, exercise, and rest, let alone trying to get an 82-year-old mother to change her habits.
Yeah. It makes us all feel the same thing with my 87-year-old mother. And, of course, my dad has been deceased for 3 or 4 years now. But, yeah, you get in touch.
2 years. 2 years, Media Monk. It was January 19. I keep track of those numbers better than Media Monk.
Well, it just makes you feel humble. It makes you feel appreciative of good health, and it piques the curiosity about ways to deal with this Virgo energy about supporting our temple of our soul, for sure.
Well, and to say with the stellium, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn last year, all of us on the planet have been getting in touch with morbidity, which means less than optimal health, and mortality with the COVID virus that has impacted everybody. And here, right now, as we're dealing with Sun in Pisces, Venus has moved into Pisces. They're approaching their conjunctions with Neptune, in a little bit. And it is definitely, I'll speak to that. Sun conjuncts Neptune March 10th at 20.5 degrees Pisces. Venus conjuncts Neptune March 13th, just after the new moon, at 21 degrees Pisces. And Neptune is just, it's still in orb squaring the nodes. The Sun's going to square the nodal axis March 5th at around 15 degrees Pisces, Gemini, Sag. Venus will square the nodes March 9th, 15 degrees Pisces with Gemini, Sag. Point is that with Venus balsamic to the Sun, both of them balsamic to Neptune, we really are feeling this balance or push-pull between the Aquarian energy and the Piscean energy. And that Piscean energy, again, and on an ultimate level, is surrendering to Source. And the ultimate level of surrender to Source is leaving the temple of the body and surrendering to the soul in non-physical. And that soul surrendering to universal soul. Now, on a little more practical terms, as we look at Venus and Sun in Pisces, and they make their squares to the North Node in Gemini and the South Node in Sagittarius, what is truth? What is lie? What is fact? What is opinion? All you have to do is go out there and look at that political arena a little bit, and we have what became a political phrase in the last couple of years, alternative facts with reality. I don't like reality, so I'm just going to claim that this word or opinion is a fact when it has no grounding in reality whatsoever. And so this is some of what all of us are dealing with, not only on that collective level politically in the United States right now, but also on a personal level in our own world. What is real and what's not? What is fact? What is truth? And what is not? So while we don't have a whole bunch of major aspects going on over the next 2 weeks, doesn't mean there isn't energy out there. Planets moving forward. Take charge of your life. When Venus Venus will make 2 conjunctions with the Sun in every one of its 19-month cycles. Right now, Venus is in the underworld. It's moving direct with the Sun, and it's doing its long passage of not even being visible. Now, hold on a second. I had a new chart some new stuff that I had researched, and I put my page away, but I'm going to get it out. And so Venus ceased being a morning star, getting so close to the Sun as it's catching up with it. February 14th was the last time we saw Venus in the early morning skies. Venus will not show up in the evening sky until May 5th. So Venus is spending almost 3 months right now in the underworld, and it is going to be March 25th when Venus conjuncts the Sun and moves ahead of it, 6 degrees Aries. So when we have this time period of Venus moving direct with the Sun, they appear to be moving almost the same speed. And so they hang out together quite closely, and all their aspects, squaring the nodes, happen within a day or two of each other. Conjuncting Neptune, a day or two of each other. That's going to continue operating for them for a few months here. So it will also represent a time period for deep questioning of our values. Venus, really getting in touch with what is important in our world and what is not. And there are some who feel that when Venus has this direct conjunction with the Sun, that it's kind of like the 0 degree point, talking about that 0 to 360. That conjunction is kind of like a new phase conjunction. And when Venus goes retrograde and, is moving what appears to be opposite direction of the Sun during its retrograde cycle, Venus is only in the underworld for a couple of weeks. That's kind of like a full moon phase. And this is true with both Mercury and Venus, if you want to look at it that way. And so in many respects, as these two are moving so closely together right now, it is a death and rebirth of our values and what's important to us on some of the deepest levels in our world. Now, Venus's rulership of Taurus is the inner side of Venus, how we have relationship with ourselves. Venus's rulership of Libra is the outer side of Venus and how we have relationships with others. So any Venus aspects are going to bring in relationships as well. What do you value in relationship with yourself? What do you value in relationship with others? As we have, a couple more things I got to say, Nemo. As we have, the Sun and Venus square the nodes, Mercury is going to come along at about 17.5 degrees Aquarius and move over Jupiter. And this will be the 3rd conjunction with Jupiter in its retrograde cycle. Mercury left brain, Jupiter right brain. This happens March 4th, next week. This is the time period, and especially coming off of Mercury retrograde and these 3 conjunctions, this is the time period for the light bulbs with our intuition to just go off big time. And what are the future-orientated messages that are just very repetitious for you in how you are moving forward with your life? And so here's the light bulbs, and one more time, that, this is what I need to do. This is the conversation I need to have. This is what I want or do not want in my world. This is how I'm going to progress forward. And this is added on with Mars shifting signs. Mars is going to move into Gemini March 3rd. What is that? Next Wednesday, I think. And it will be in Gemini through April 23rd. Mars is moving slower and slower through the signs of the zodiac as it is, the year of not being retrograde. Mars is a 24 to 26 month cycle. Once every 2 years, it's retrograde for 2.5 months. So this is a year we do not have Mars retrograde. So this is a year Mars is slower through the signs of that it transits. And so Mars in Gemini will add a little interesting mix to the picture, because do I do this or do I do that? Do I do this or do I do that? So here's all these planets moving direct that I told you about. And almost in that same time frame, March 3rd through April 23rd, Mars in Gemini can put a little bit of confusion in there, put a little bit of wishy-washiness in there. And what we want to naturally do with Mars in Gemini is instinctively move forward with what feels best and be flexible. So there will be those with Mars in Gemini who can't make their mind up and then just need to do it. And I've said this for a long time, as a much softer perspective than right-wrong or standards of right-wrong conduct. Life is about making choices to have an experience, to then make a better choice from that experience, to have a better experience, to make a better choice, to have a better experience, etc. That's how you want to look at Mars in Gemini. So for some of us, we have to be flexible. For others, Mars in Gemini is going to say, just make a choice. And, we could go back and forth with both of them, needing to make a choice and needing to be flexible over the next couple of months with this Mars transit. Mars in Gemini is about communications, and it's about taking in the information. So we want to, this busy air element year with Mercury, we do want to have the communications. And, while Mercury is still in Aquarius, the conjunction with Jupiter, the first half of March until Mercury goes into Pisces, good time for those communications. Good time for getting on your computer or your smartphone and researching out information in whatever ways it is happening in your life. So, finally, I want to finish up with the base note of 2021. We talked about it in the last few podcasts a little bit. February 17th, Saturn made the first of 3 last quarter squares to Uranus. And they met with Saturn at 7 Aquarius and Uranus at 7 degrees Taurus. It's been an interesting mix because it's a real last quarter squares crises in consciousness or crises in beliefs. What do I believe? And with Aquarius, it adds in what do I think? Now, it's an interesting blend because Saturn in Aquarius is in the sign Uranus rules. And so Aquarius and Uranus are wanting to bust out, break free, broaden those understandings. My words in webinars have been, detachment, objectivity, liberate, innovate. One more time. Aquarius and Uranus. Detachment, objectify, liberate, innovate. However, Saturn wants security. It's earth element. Uranus in Taurus wants security. Earth element. So we have, with these last quarter squares, a back and forth almost between the air and earth elements or energies. And so what can happen with air and earth? Well, we can create storms. We can, most obvious one in my neck of the woods is tornadoes. well, we don't have them this time of the year. They're more summer events for us. There can be a lot of stirring up of the earth energy that will then work to resettle it into new forms of reality. One more time, if you think about it from the perspective of a tornado, which is a windstorm, or a hurricane, which combines wind and water, and your home gets obliterated. I've lived through 2 tornadoes on our family farm growing up, so healthy respect for that stuff. There's nothing like having the rug ripped out underneath you with regards to your physical home to just be totally forced to create a new inner security tourist, a new equilibrium, a new reality of where you live. You know, Saturn, Uranus last quarter squares, I think, will bring us a year of Earth events. I've been saying Uranus in Taurus is bringing us a 7-year Earth event throughout all 7 years that it transits through Taurus, ripping outer security away to go force us inward to deeper inner security. Another example is just looking at the Earth event that we had down in Texas with that extremely cold polar vortex. Oh, by the way, we had, I think, 10 days where it never got above freezing. So, thank you. Can we be done with that? Welcome spring. But for all the cold and the frozen pipes, and they're saying that this Earth event in Texas is going to be more expensive than Hurricane Harvey. It's going to be the most expensive disaster in the entire history of the state of Texas. And if you're not aware of this, Texas privatized its electrical grid, and it took it off the national system of, you know, moving electricity back and forth. Well, how'd that work out for you, Texas? And lots of issues that we could speak to, but point is, the last quarter square, crises in consciousness, what to think, crises in beliefs, what to believe. And there's this phrase that beliefs are conditioned thoughts. Change your thoughts, change your beliefs. How much of this may be happening for all of us in regard to looking at climate here in the U.S., climate on whatever continent you reside. I think in addition to this the Saturn-Uranus last quarter squares of, you know, Earth events and push-pull between, you know, innovation and I need to be secure and therefore I don't want to change, there's a lot that will be going on mentally in 2021 for all of us on planet Earth. There's Mercury in the air signs for half of the year with 3 retrograde cycles. It is the Saturn-Uranus 3 last quarter squares in Aquarius, Taurus. So, in closing, and right now, Mars and Gemini, how flexible can you be? How open-minded can you be towards entertaining new information that Venus, Sun, Neptune, square the nodes, allows you to shift your orientation here on planet Earth, allows you to evolve your belief systems in regards to how you want to participate on planet Earth. Well, for not having any aspects, Media Monk, I sure found something to talk about.
You nailed it. And when you're talking, I'm thinking about one of your Kim Marie sayings, which is, good time with this full moon Virgo and this Virgo Pisces energy to pray with your feet and recommit to all your health, wellness values and goals in the new year as it pertains to diet, exercise, and rest, maybe.
Yeah, it's an old African proverb, and there's a phrase to it. It's something like, when you pray, move your feet. So in other words, prayer is action and movement. It's not inaction.
Well, thank you, Star Lady, for all the information again, and thanks for tuning in, all our Astro listeners. We appreciate you. Go take a peek at our Learning Path page and see the Mastering Phases and Aspects sale price. While you're there, take a peek for newer people to EA. Look at that expanded EA intro, also on sale. Tremendous value for both workshops until, I guess, next new moon. Move with joy, a lot of passion.
Until the new moon of Pisces, March 13th, 23.
Move with joy and passion on this very personal and rewarding journey to the core of our souls. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.